shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies, too. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, of course, the founder of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And I am here with someone who is just indefatigable. You can't fatig him at all. His name is Charles Rosenay, and he's a writer. That's his main thing. And he puts together all these books about nostalgia for the 60s, the Beatles, the Monkees, the Turtles, too. Plus, he writes a lot and does a lot of things involving horror movies and the supernatural and the occult. Ooh! Plus, if you want him as a DJ for your bar mitzvah, your quinceañera, your funeral, God forbid. But if, people need him, so he can be right there. Or if you need him to break your Yom Kippur fast, Charles Rosenay is a man to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, the main thing is, he's put together a convention that is happening from September 4th through the 6th in North Haven, Connecticut. I know there's no real reason to go to North Haven, Connecticut, but now there is. Because if you like the Monkees, it will be their 60th anniversary. What is it, Charles? The 60th anniversary of what? You just showed me a blur.
Yeah. Hey, I was trying to shoot my monkey shirt. The 60th anniversary of the first episode that aired on television, September 12th, 1966.
1960. So it's going to be, tell us about this convention. What is it? Will Mickey be there? Will anybody be there? Or you'll be there? You'll be there.
First of all, thank you for that unique intro.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I never had quite that same intro, and thank you for putting the whatever that is behind your back of me in my sort of horror guise, my other persona. That's Cryptmaster Chucky behind you, by the way. I've been producing Beatles festivals and conventions since the 70s. And in 1982, I put on the first Monkees convention in Connecticut. And it was the first time in history that the key person from a band, like there was never a Beatles guest at a Beatles convention. There was never a Monkee at a Monkees convention until 82, and Peter Tork was our special guest. And since then, it's become, actually quite the norm for a Monkee to show up at a Monkees convention. But anyway, we did a few shows in past, 2013. We did the Davy Jones Memorial Convention when he passed. And we did...
Well, it would have been pretty sick to do it before he passed.
Right.
If he was still alive, we're going to have a memorial for you. It's like, what's wrong with you? I can't do an English accent, damn it.
But nonetheless, that was the impetus of the event.
Yeah.
And then we did a similar show in 2022, whatever the year after Peter Tork passed. Right. And so I didn't want to get into this mode of the only time doing shows is when, a Monkee passes. So I wanted to do a rewind, and let's do a show the way it was done, like back in the 80s, in a nice hotel, a few hundred fans, a real intimate gathering, and just celebrate not the loss. Let's celebrate the win. Let's celebrate the Monkees themselves, what they gave us in television, in music, in personalities, the memories, the magic, all the above. And so it started out a one-day simple event. We were going to do it on September 12th, the exact date of the Monkees convention, of the Monkees episode on TV. Right. And then two things hit me. One, Mickey was touring and couldn't be there. So I said, all right, well, that's maybe one reason. The other reason is someone wrote to me and said, you realize it's a Jewish holiday on that date. And I did not realize that. And I said, well, both reasons, we have to change the date. Unfortunately, the hotel was open. We moved it to the 5th. Now, as we're planning it and people are saying, hey, we're going to come from Australia, we're going to come from England, we're going to come from all over just this convention. I can't do just one day because what are they going to do? So we decided the night before we'll have a VIP party. And the following day, ready for this? There is a Monkees museum in Connecticut. It's the only Monkees museum in the world that I know of. And it's only about a half hour from the convention site. So we said, you know what, we'll do the Friday welcome party. Saturday, the whole day is convention. Half the day is guests and vendors and all kind of panels. And then at night, live concerts, nonstop music all night long. And then Sunday.
Who's going to be performing? Do you have Monkee cover bands or just bands?
Well, yeah. Not just Monkee cover bands, but possibly the Monkee covers band. A group called The Characters have been playing Monkees conventions since the 80s. And Danny Salazzo and his guys, they're the closers, they're the headliners, and I asked for their set list, so no other acts will play any of the songs before. The opening act is Foggy Otis, who's a ukulele expert, and he's doing a set of uke music. The second set is a surprise, but I'm going to tell you because no one else. It's between us, right?
All right, yeah.
So the second set is we have a lot of special guests who have performed in Monkees touring acts, are currently in their acts. So we're going to do a super jam with these guys.
Nice.
And then
Very nice.
another act playing is Mick Lawless, who's a very respected New England, not just a Monkees musician, but a Monkee fan, a great guy. And his set is all on Michael Nesmith, on Mike Nez, doing the Loose Salute show. And the final act, which is the right before we have our characters playing, is a group that we've titled the M60s because the name of the convention is
Monkey six M60 for Monkey 60th
60
anniversary of the show.
without using the
Yeah,
Monkees logo and without doing
yeah.
anything that's not kosher. So it's called M60, and the band that's playing is the M60s, and they're going to do a combination of 60s music plus songs from the movie That Thing You Do, which in itself is a Beatles-ish, monkey-ish Tom Hanks film that
Right. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah. So
So, but let me ask you, Charles. What at a convention like this,
yeah.
right? So Mickey may or may not show up. I know you can't promise or
Well,
anything
so
like.
he's traveling and we've requested it and we're going to keep requesting it. But just like this convention's now been planned for months, and literally every 2 weeks I'm adding more and more, sneaking out the names of guests. And just this week, I'm going to give you an exclusive. The Monkees, one of their dearest friends, and their photographer, Henry Diltz, will be coming in
Oh.
from the West Coast. And when
Yeah.
you think rock photographers, I mean, he's in the top echelons of that. So he's coming. We haven't even announced it's not even on the website yet. So as we go right up to the date, we're hoping to add more really very special
But
guests.
let me ask you, in a convention like this,
Yeah.
as opposed to say a Comic Con where you get
Hmm.
celebrities to sign their photos for $50, what do people do all day up until the music starts? I mean, are they just swapping monkey lunchboxes? What do you do at a Monkees convention?
So a la a Star Trek convention and a Beatles convention, and most of these themed conventions that aren't necessarily Comic Cons, which also have the following, the big thing is the panels, the guests, because they're on stage literally nonstop from whenever the doors open till 6 o'clock or whatever, and then we take a break, and then the music starts at 7, all in the same area. But yeah, that's the big thing. The other thing is we're gonna haven't announced this yet either, but there's a Monkees Broadway musical in the works. In the hopes, I shouldn't say in the hopes, and we're going to do a table reading of it. So that's an exclusive. We're going to have a Monkees pinball machine that people will play. There's only two of those in the whole world.
All right, okay.
And the vendors is big. The vendors is a big thing because I've been to conventions where you get into the show at 4 o'clock and nearly everything is sold out. The vendors are bringing amazing stuff. Some of them have original memorabilia, some have shirts, some have this, some have that, and that's a big part of it. But our guests will be doing autograph signings and meet and greets and photo ops, and one of those is like a Comic Con type of guest. Greg Evigan, the actor who
Yeah,
who was in My Two Dads. He was in BJ and the
in the
Bear.
bear, yeah,
That was
or it was more like hand job in the bear. There was back in the day in 1970s you couldn't actually. But anywho, yes.
so he's why is he a guest? Because Davy Jones was a guest on his show, and he wants to talk about the memories of Davy Jones. So that's an out of the box guest, but he'll be there, and I'm sure he'll charge, but he'll sign
Well,
over.
no, but Greg Evigan, all right. This is what you should really do with Henry Dills is
Yeah,
instead of people taking pictures with him, he should charge to take pictures of the people. There you go, $100. Get your photo taken by Henry Dills, and
brilliant,
it's frameable. There you
brilliant.
go.
He actually has a line of Monkees beads. I guess they maybe Davey wore them on the show. I don't really know what
Oh,
the history is on that, but
yeah.
he's bringing those along to sell. But yeah, he's gonna have photographs of not just. I mean, when I did my Turtles book um, a few years back, a 600 monster page, and I can't show it because it's gonna blur out. But he did the front cover and back cover. And I look back in the Morrison Hotel, the Doors, so
Great
many
cover.
Crosby, Stills in there, so many iconic album covers and photos, and he doesn't know what he has. I said, "Can I have a picture of you with the Monkees?" He goes, "Yeah, but it'll take me days to find it, going through
Yeah.
endless proof sheets." Um, yeah, so it really, there's so much to do, and it's nonstop fun. A big part of it is just so many Monkees fans are friends online. They're
Oh
Facebook
yeah, yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
and so they're, "Oh, can't wait to meet you," kind of thing. So it's like a big
Yeah.
family reunion because they've never met before. But
It's like monkey Tinder.
it
They
is.
get together to stoop, and it's like, don't tell my husband, don't tell my wife. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, hey, we're stooping like monkeys. People say we're monkeying around. Now let's do it, doggy. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Shame
Wow.
on me.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds there,
So
sounds.
take us back to your very first, because as you mentioned, you started doing Beagle conventions back in the 1970s. That wasn't even I mean, people weren't even thinking of doing this stuff. What put it into your head to suddenly get Beagle fans together back in whatever it was in the Wings era?
Well, yes, it was in the Wings era, but there were already conventions. There was one in New York, there was one in Boston. I'm right in the middle. I'm originally from the Bronx, but I lived in Connecticut since I was 10. And I thought, well, if they can have them in these places, why not my own hometown? I was very naive and did it and lost a fortune. And my parents said, "You're never doing it again." But I built it up from that loss to,
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
point that now 43, no, wait, it's almost, oh my God, I don't want to say how long it is. But anyway, I've been doing the convention since the 70s and Beatle tours to Liverpool, which was a
Right.
branch off that since 83. So, having to start with those, really everything led to another thing. That's how life is. You do one thing and it could be very successful. It may not. But, you do a gig and you think, "Oh my God, I've DJ'd 5,000 gigs and this one just didn't click. I don't know what happened. The mom wasn't happy, the bride wasn't happy. At the end of the gig, you get tipped, and then you give out 20 business cards. You never know. You never know what one thing leads to another. And that's the point of this show, people. You've just learned that you never know.
Whoa! Oh my goodness! Yeah, yeah, he's taking over the. Well, he's Jewish. He would. He's taking it. You're colonizing my show. God damn it! Shame
Um,
on you.
I'm
No, we're
proud of
not.
the crowd colonizer. No worries.
No, we're gonna. He's a pure, unadulterated Zionist here. I hope you are too. You're Ashkenazic, right?
I've just lost half my fans right here in that one word.
Yeah. So you were telling me off the air that actually your name Rosenay. It's like Rosen is a Jewish name. It could have been from two different, completely Jewish things. One is Rosen, like someplace in Russia. Another is Ozen. What were we saying?
It's very confusing. And I've done the 24 and me, and I found out that I do have
24 in me. Go figure. Go figure. A Jew adds inflation. No, it's 23 in me.
no, now it's 20. Yeah, right. Okay, 20. Um, I don't have not been able to find out. And I do know what I do know is that I was the last Rosenay. And I have two sons, thank God, because they're carrying on the name. But I got married late in life, never thought, that I was at the end of it. But there's other Rosenays that I found, and all of them have this part where it goes right up to my grandfather's, no, my great grandfather, and not beyond that, not beyond that. But yet we came across this old photo, and it's one of those photos, where no one is smiling in the picture because they never smiled in those days, and they all look serious and they all look biblical, but it's Alexandria, Egypt on the back. So we don't know if they vacation there, if they stop there, if they live there for a little while, or if
Well,
that's
long enough ago, there were slaves there.
well, or if they were
They were
slaves.
building pyramids.
I don't know. I don't know, but that's as
Hey,
far.
Rosinay! It's a point on the top. God damn it! Yeah, Pharaoh
I
was
got to put the
bitchy.
point on the top. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mike
yeah.
really did
It's
that.
like a nipple. It's a nipple with it. Yeah, do it.
So I don't know. I don't know the heritage. I don't know. I can't be able to trace it, and it bothers me more because I know the kids are going to ask, and they won't have an answer.
How
It's
Jewish were you raised? Were you conservative? You seem you're a little connected to. So you obviously weren't Reform or Protestant. So yeah.
conservadox.
Hmm.
I've been kosher since since bar mitzvah. I DJ on weekends, so I'm not Shomer Shabbos, obviously, because I'm producing conventions and doing all that. Um, but yeah, very,
Well, but this also intrigues me because a lot of Jews in the
yeah,
modern daily kind of world that we live in, the kids go to Hebrew school, they learn until the bar mitzvah, and then once the bar mitzvah's over, boom, goodbye. They might as well be Methodists, poi, poi, poi. And yet you went the other way. You turned kosher post bar mitzvah. What was the mindset on that?
so it was kosher in the house, but they would go out.
Oh, Chinese food doesn't count. We know this. Yeah.
And I kind of thought, how am I looking forward, envisioning my religiosity, whatever that is. And I thought, well, if I have to be a construction worker, if I'm going to do roofing, if I'm going to anything like that, I will not work on the Sabbath. If I go into the entertainment field, which I hope to do and I want to do, and one or two Jews did it before me, I would be bringing simcha and joy to people. And I think that's a very important thing. And I saw that as an okay thing to do on the Sabbath. And so that's everything I do, is really everything I do is hopefully something that brings joy to people. I'm thinking about it. If it's fun pop culture books that they read and enjoy, if it's DJing a simcha or a geisha wedding, anything I do brings people a lot of joy. So I thought that was the okay for me in my brain, but I don't eat salad at a diner. I don't. I mean, I am.
Well, nobody's eating salad like a dying. Now they can get the horrible diarrhea. Can't do that anymore.
So the kashrut is something that I took very, very seriously and never ever wavered from. Put on tefillin, 6 days a week. So I take that all very, very seriously, and it's because it's part of a bigger picture. I never got drunk, I never did drugs, and it's all part of
Notice he left out masturbation. Kind of, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, we edit that one part out. So it's the things that it was not self-control as much as
Notice he left out masturbation. No, but there's a way of living your life, and God has. You might want to say rewarded you on some level because you got married late in life. You have two wonderful, God willing, healthy children. Three. Oh, I'm sorry, you mentioned two. You have a third one.
I had two boys.
Oh, girls don't count.
And I have a daughter getting married on Sunday. Hello?
Mazel tov! Yes, okay. Good.
So yeah, three Kinar. I'm very blessed in the family unit. Yes. And that people say if you love the things you do, you never work a day in your life. And I love what I do. And fortunately, it's brought a lot of joy to the people who I'm connected with.
Speaking of joy, I'm a little curious as to Beatles, duh, and Monkees, duh. But I love that you did a book about the Turtles, because they're one of the most underrated bands of the entire 19th. They were pretty freaking great, and people think of them as a one or two hit wonders. There's Happy Together and Eleanor, and people, that's it. But, listen to the Rhino compilation. What made you go heavily into the Turtles?
So a co-author who wrote a few books before that, where he was a yin and yang with another author, and they would review literally every song of a band's catalog, and they like Siskel and Ebert back and forth. Yeah. So he said, Charles, what do you think of the Turtles? And I go, what do I think of the Turtles? Not only do I love them, but it kills me that people just know Happy Together and their catalog and beyond the Turtles, Flo and Eddie, and working with Zappa and working with Springsteen and working with T-Rex. You can go on and on, all they accomplished. And why aren't they recognized? Why aren't they in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Mm-hmm. To Yidlach, too, the leaders. So all these reasons for me was, and he said, let's do a book. And I said, let's do a book. And we thought we'd put out, a 100-page book. And it's a nearly 600, the most comprehensive book on the Turtles. And it's called Not Just Happy Together.
There we go. By the way, did you read Mark Volman's biography? It came out, I think, posthumously or nearly posthumously.
Yeah, a few years before he got a little Leiba. Yes, I read that, and there's a Howard Kalin book out too, and I read them both, and they're both magnificent, and they both should be on the same, library shelf as www.notjusthappytogether.com.
Did either of them? You talked with them, you knew them, I guess. is there any great stories of them? Any great stories of their Zappa years, especially?
Yeah, in the book there is Howard. Howard, his last interview, he's still with us, but
Yeah, yeah.
he doesn't do interviews. He doesn't tour. He doesn't, he's not in the. His last interview is in the book. I'm gonna give it a shot. Let's see if
Please, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's going to try and hold up a blur. Let's see if. Right, go slow. Go to blur, slow blur, slow blur. Your fingers look great. No, not a damn thing. God damn it. Nothing. I go, wait, stay right there. Oh, God, yes. Happy together. Your song, now it's, okay. Well, you know what? It's the 60s. It should be blurring in and out.
I think that it's I'm proud of it. It's probably here we go.
Oh, well,
Uh,
yes. So that's where you live. Okay. The turtle. So are you in that shot? There's a lot of turtles in that photo there. How
it's
many
the
were there in the band? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
So we can all see Mark. Mark is the easiest one to spot.
right, because it's Jufro. And I'm gonna give you a prototype here that no one has seen. That is the next book, which is also done with Mark Arnold, who co-authored this. It's the Monkees comic book. Ask why? Ask why.
Why is it called the Monkees comic book?
In the 60s, there were 17 Monkees comics that nobody has. They came out from Dell Publishing,
Oh,
which
yeah.
wasn't Marvel, wasn't DC. It was that other one that put out all the TV shows and the movies. And if you collected it, got rid of it when you were, decluttering. We've gotten all 17 issues and we've remastered them so they look like a graphic novel has just been released in full color, hot, popping off the pages. So in the Turtles book, proud to have an interview with Howard Kalin. In the Monkees book, proud to have an interview with Jose Delbo, who was the Monkees comic book artist.
Oh,
And before he passed, he gave us an exclusive interview. So there's a interview with him in the book. There's a price guide. There's a timeline, like when the comic came out, what was going on in the Monkees world at the same time. It's really an exhaust. Both books
it's
are
Talmudic at this point. It really is. It's a Talmudic view of the Monkees. So, but let me ask you, Charles Rosenaye, since you mentioned price, and I'm Jewish and I care about prices of things, what would you, not that anybody should want to steal from your beautiful house there, but if you would put a priceless thing on some piece of memorabilia or two that you own from the 60s or 50s or 70s era, what is like the one thing that you were I can't believe I own this?
probably the Butcher cover. It's the Beatles album that has them in their smocks and with Trayfin and Meat, that cover. That might be it. For me, it's more stuff is like I have it because Mickey signed it, or
Yeah.
Paul McCartney. This more personal stuff as opposed to high level collectible. So many times I need to finance a convention or an event, so I'm like, oh, wait, what can I sell from this to finance that? My collection doesn't mean as much to me as it did in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and a big part of it is I've got a 20-year-old and a 21-year-old and a 27-year-old, and they collect bupkis. They could care less. They don't want my comic books. They don't want my baseball cards. They don't want my horror monster magazines. Everything that I loved. And I said, I wanted to complete. If we were kids, we wanted to complete a collection. If we had, Superman 88 through 188 and was missing 181, you had to get it. You had to.
It was I know.
It was obsessive. They don't care. They don't collect anymore.
Yeah,
So
I have 21 and a half children. Not one of them wants my collection of medieval torture implements. Not one.
I want that.
Yeah, okay. This brings us to the next evolution of this conversation
Great
because
stuff.
I did that intentionally, by the way. Charles Rosenaye, one of your other whole side gigs is that you're interested in the paranormal, which is not, paraplegics trying to act normal. This is just like the outer weird world and outer space and creepy things. Horror stuff. As a matter of fact, don't you run like haunted houses or things like that?
I did. I ran Connecticut's largest indoor haunted attraction for many years, and I taught people how to scare. That was one of the things I loved doing.
Boom!
Yeah.
No, it didn't work. You
So
teach me. Yeah.
rule number one, you don't say the word boo because boo is not scary. Number two, and I'm giving away secrets, never yell, get out. They've just paid their $20. Don't get out. Stay with me forever is a lot more
That's called
ominous,
marriage.
a
Yeah.
lot more ominous than that. So yeah, that be I do I do Beatle tours to Liverpool since '83. www.liverpooltours.com, where people come with me to London and Liverpool.
That's great.
That gave birth to www.dractours.com, where we bring
Oh,
Drac
to Romania? You go
Romania
there?
to Transylvania to the old land. Yes, the unholy land, if we can say that.
I said, you can say it. Yeah.
And then and that it led to the heart to the haunted house. It led to incredible Halloween stuff, but it also led to, I'm gonna have to unblur again. It also led to
Oh,
the book
yeah.
of top 10 horror lists, which you referred to. That was actually my first book ever, a great pop culture book where 100 celebrities gave their top 10 lists. And that was so fun and so successful. And all my Beatle people said, how dare you put out a monster book without putting a Beatles book? Ta-da! I
So,
did.
who are the one or two of the most surprising people to contribute to either the horror book or the Beagle book?
All right, so I won't tell you a surprising one.
Yeah.
I'll tell you John Lennon's sister, Julia Baird, who I'm dear friends with, gave me a list in the horror book against her wishes. And I go, what does that mean? She said, Charles, I hate horror movies. Why are you making me do this? I'm not making you do it. You don't have to do it. She goes, no, I will. And she came back with the largest chapter in the book, which is a college thesis worthy dissertation on the on the horrors in literature with a specialty of Shakespeare.
Whoa!
Right? I said, I need you to write the forward for my. I know I messed it up. I need you to write a top 10 list for the Beatles book. And she said, nah, I'm not writing a list. How's about I do your forward? I go, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it. Thank you, Julia. Thank you very, very much. Yeah.
I only say surprising because they start off, Boris Karloff's daughter, Sarah Karloff, still alive, still with us, still sharp as a tack. And she said, Charles, I never even watched my dad's movies, and you want me to do a top 10 list for your horror book? I go, yeah. All right, I'll leave it with me. She came up with the top 10 things that scare her. And number 10 was having to write a list for books like yours.
See, mine, the first eight would be Goyim, 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 Goyim. That would be the scariest thing ever. And then somewhere up there,
Ladies and
Hamas.
gentlemen, for the record, I do not agree with that point. Okay, I do not agree officially. If I'm going to share this post, I do not agree at all.
That's fine. Yeah, remember, the views expressed in this interview and on this program are, of course, mine. Charles Rosenaye has absolutely no. I'm sure deep down he feels exactly the way I do, but he has to say that he doesn't in order not to lose clientele. He wants to do your bar mitzvah, he wants to do or your haunted house, or do you ever get celebrities with 4 million, or not even celebrities, but somebody's got like $8 million and wants you to do their Halloween for them?
No, but if you're listening, $8 million celebrity, call me. I'll do anything for that. We'll put on a specialty show, one of a kind, you name it. I do. We run a haunted attraction now called the Haunted Trolley, which I really love. It's scaled down. It's not thousands of people in a haunted attraction. We take 40 people on a ride. It's a whole month of October, 4 rides a night, and it's a different theme every year. And the first year it was a seance. The next year was a murder mystery. We've done an alien theme. And we go on board and give them a briefing. And then the murder mystery plays out on the trolley. It's an old trolley. And then on the way back, we decide who's really guilty. And then there's usually a switch ending. And for Christmas, I do an event called Who Slayed Santa, where Chas v'shalom, God, I'm sorry to say, Santa might or might not get it.
Oy, gewalt!
And then at the end, well, maybe we figure out that maybe he's okay after all.
But I'll tell you the scariest thing of that alien one you did with the trolley. Well, at a certain point, the aliens were all on the trolley. Ice came. and sent them all over the border and smacked them up real good. It was
Right.
not.
Wrong aliens, but very observant and a good line. That's a good line.
Well, we're both observant. Well, you're kosher, so you were semi-observant right there.
Have to use that line if we ever do the aliens again.
Yes, you will. Yes, you absolutely will. And credit me when you do, and I get 15%.
I
No,
will.
you want 20. 20. Everything goes up now.
50%. It's fine.
Why not 50? Good. I like the way you think. Hey, speaking of Jews, and we are speaking as Jews and of Jews, what was Kvetch, the movie?
Oh, how did you find Kvetch the movie?
Little research, little
There's
Google, a little bit of AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go on IMDb, you'll see I have a bunch of credit. I've done like 40 films. I've also been a horror host, and you can see behind you, Cryptmaster Chiller Chucky is one of my personas. But I've done a lot of horror shorts where I get killed, stapled through the head, bullets through the neck, all different fun ways. A crowbar up here like this. I don't want to mess up my hair. And in this one film, Kvetch, it was not filmed not far from me at Yale University, and the filmmaker wanted me to play death.
Oh.
And so I put the cowl over me, speak a little Yiddish in it. I speak fluent Yiddish, so that was, I think, why he booked me, although he didn't let me do a lot of it in the film. And it was the lead guy was amazing. Oh, I wish I could remember his name. But he was, I guess, old Yiddish theater. And he, as Yiddish theater has passed on and no really longer exists, he was in his bed on his deathbed passing on. And it was like I was visiting him and giving him his last, remembrances. And he flashes back to the tumulting and to Shtetl and to all this beautiful. It's a really beautiful movie, but it's a short, and it was made by a brilliant Yale filmmaker who's moved on to other things, Austin somebody, and I get to play. So even in a non-horror movie, I get
You got to play the Malach HaMobis.
I play Malcolm Roberts.
Did you look on the doorposts for blood? I said, well, no, not that one.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Kvetch. One synagogue played it once and had me do the afterwards meet and greet and question and answers, and the people go, "We really have no questions for you at all after seeing that." I said, no problem, but I want to share with you. And I talked anyway
Of course, yeah.
how I saw the film as a comparison to the death of this guy and Yiddish theater, and it was really a fun thing to watch.
By the way, we still have more questions for Charles Rosenay, but before we get to them, I do want to remind everybody that September 4th through the 6th in North Haven, Connecticut. Can I just ask you how to get from like Midtown Manhattan to North Haven if you don't have a helicopter? What the hell do you have to? Is it Metro North or you got to get on Amtrak? How do you get there?
Practice. No, no, that's the answer to Carnegie Hall. Sorry. If you're driving, it's exit 12 off 91. So it's really easy to get to. I would say, Google it through your whatever. People are coming in from over. They're flying into Hartford Airport, New York airports, Avelo, which is New Haven. There's like 3 or 4 airports within an hour or an hour and a half. But I don't know about
The trains. You should probably have that on the website. You should probably say, if you're taking, Amtrak, do this. If you're taking, rickshaw, do this.
So my guess is it's an Amtrak to New Haven and then a quick Uber ride. Yeah.
That should. And what it's for is M60. It's a convention that celebrates the day the Monkees first went on the air, except it's going to be a week earlier because we just talked about. But it's the Monkees convention at the Clarion Inn in North Haven, Connecticut. So you definitely have to go and experience this. All the things they always talk, the bands, the merchants selling stuff, and all the panels that they're going to have. I can
share with you that it's the #1 Fakakta hotel in the area, but that's only you and I will understand that. But I can also tell you that it's being done for fans by fans. The website is www.monkeysfanconvention.com.
Okay.
That's the biggest impetus of it is, to celebrate monkey fandom and then to be there with, common people who love the stuff that we all love.
The proletariat, you gotta get, all half the Jews are now fucking socialists, so it's getting, the proles, the common proles. Go to Monkees, and remember, if you don't know the band that well, it's Kees, Monkees fan convention or fans convention?
It was fan.
One fan, so it's a small audience. MonkeesFanConvention.com. Now, we are talking with Charles Rosenaye. Here are still so many questions. And before I forget, because I want to get back to the horror thing and the paranormal stuff, when you sign your name on a check, as you have to do when you're paying, prepaying for these things, when you're doing anything or signing any kind of document, do you sign your name like a normal human being? Or what the hell? When did that start? He puts 3 exclamation points at the end of his first name. So it's not Charles, it's Charles Rosenaye.
It's so frustrating that Facebook won't let me put it on there. And then when the press writes stuff, they just take it off. And it's literally in there. I was an art student at Southern Connecticut State University because Yale wouldn't have me. And that's okay.
They wouldn't have Dave either, so yeah.
In retrospect, it's okay. And fine art, freshman year, I thought I was painting amazing stuff. And the professor at the midterm tells everyone, you guys suck. There's nothing that you're doing that makes you stand out from anybody else. I'm seeing similar strokes. I'm seeing similar. He lambasted this whole class, and I didn't know if this was his thing every year to incentivize everyone to get all psyched. But I thought, what? I'm not going to be a great artist. I'm doing this because I want to go into maybe commercial studio art, graphic design. So I have to take the prerequisite. I have to take this fine art. What can I do to set me aside from everyone else? And I started signing my paintings Charles F. Rosenaye with 3 exclamation marks.
Is it after the Charles or after the Rosenaye?
After the Rosenaye. It's after
the end of the name. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm doing something, just between friends, if I just write Charles, I'll put it there anyway. So I started signing the paintings that, and 5, 6, 7, 8 paintings down, I made the name a little bigger and a little more emphasized on the exclamation mark. End of the year, he goes, nobody in this class has gotten an A, and we've only given out 1 B. Everybody else was very average, but you have a lot of potential. He gave us but then he gave us hope, and he said, but the one person who got the B was, as much as it kills me,
much as it kills
what
me.
he did. This professor says kills me. This anti-Semite said, but I have to give one person a B and credit because they actually listened to what I said, and they stand out from all the rest because their name is spelt with 3 exclamation marks, and I got a B plus or something in that class.
Hey!
And I kept the 3 exclamation marks, and why not? We talk about it. It adds attention. People laugh about it, and it made sense.
It's a thing. Look, if Prince could change his name to an anchor with tits on it, or whatever the hell he did, why can't you spell your name with 3 exclamation points? I'm all for it. Me, I would just put question marks because nobody knows what the hell I am. But let me also ask you, Charles Rosenaye, this is what have you learned doing all these conventions and all these books about fans and fame in all your years of connecting celebrities and culture and music and fans? What have you learned?
I used to be the fanboy who would go to a convention and I'd see this and I would drool and I said, can I have your autograph? And now I'm on the other side a lot, and I'm the one signing autographs, and I bring guests to conventions, and that's really special. What have I learned? We're all the same. Go to these events and I'm just as silly a fan as the people who are paying their shekels to come into the event. When I do a DJ gig, whether it's a Jamaican wedding, or I did on Sunday, I did a 80th birthday party, whether it's 20 people or 2,000 people, this is their day. I don't have a day off. I try to give them the best of everything, and I try to treat everything the way I want it to be. So if it's a DJ gig, I try to treat it as if it's my family's event. If it's a convention, I try to treat what would I want to see at this show? What elements would make me walk away from this convention saying, wow, I really had a great time. And that's my goal is for everyone to have a great time. So if I learned it's those things, and if I can impart those on other people, there's so many slackers people now, and they just get by. And my kids are both in theater, and they're both,
Oh, about you'll be supporting. Better do a bunch more conventions, buddy. They're still in their early 20s. They're fucked unless you unless you pay their way for another couple of years. Oh yeah.
well, ABBA tells them, and then they do the opposite most of the time. But when it comes to like auditioning and doing it, I say, guys, go over the top. Do extra than you're supposed to. If you're going to go in and do a reading, get crazy. Shout at some points, Stop, make a face, and then continue. You want to set yourself aside from them, and they listen to that. And that's been one of the few things they've actually listened to. I always say, set yourself, make yourself a little different. I remember radio and TV, people would always say, make sure you're different than everyone else. And it's easy to say, but how? How do you do that? Well, I did it with the stupid exclamation marks in art class. And I do that by being a little over the top with personality. And it's not unnatural. Rabbi, it's not unnatural. It is. It's the way I am. I am overly personality, and I'm overly friendly, and I am very much trying to please and make sure everyone has that good a time.
You need to be remembered. You need to be different. I know I start every sermon on Shabbos in the synagogue for a full 45 seconds. I pick my nose, and then I feed it to someone sitting in the first row. Yeah, people are sickened, but they remember. They pay if they don't leave. They remember. They pay attention because they go. I'm the only rabbi. I think I'm the only rabbi.
So how's that different from my Chabad rabbi? No, same thing. There's no difference.
He picks his tuchus. I know him. Even I had to leave for that one. You think Schneersing had that face just as a natural face? He's like smelling his face. I don't know what I'm doing here. Anywho.
Hey, boys, when you get your editing materials out, I'm doing an interview that's going to go an hour, but I need about 3 minutes from it, please. Thank you.
Now, I hope the next 3 minutes aren't the minutes you need back, because we're going to finish up our chat with Charles Rosenaye. But I've got to ask, the whole horror thing, the whole otherworldly thing, how much is it just fandom and it's fun to watch horror movies for you, versus what do you believe about the supernatural, about worlds out there, about alien? Is it all just entertainment, or have you had experiences, or are you a believer?
I'm going to answer that by first asking you a question. What's the Talmud's? What does the Talmud say about ghosts? And about the supernatural and the paranormal?
All right, homie, let me look it up. Hold on.
No, come on. The answer is.
Yeah.
Don't,
Alex, for 400, what? No.
The answer is don't do it.
Oh, all
don't
right.
do it, which is very telling, because
well, they said that about sodomy too, but sometimes.
Because if it doesn't exist, there would have been no reason to say not to do it, not to try to communicate with the dead, not to try to do, paranormal activities. It said not to do it because I guess that there is some emes to it. Now, having said that, if you asked me the same question 10 years ago, I would have said, hey, I'm a monster guy. I love the horror movies. Why do I have Dracula and all this? What do I have?
Look how cute, yes.
Hannibal and the Wolfman. Why are they surrounding me? Because I am a monster kid first. I built all the models. I collected the magazines. I watched every Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Vincent Price, all those goyim who were always monsters. No Yids were ever monsters. Except
Abbott and Costello meet Charles Manson. That was so good, yes.
Peter Lorre might have been the only Yid who was in the horror movies. But anyway, why did I love all those stuff? Mommy wanted me to love the things she did. She loved the rock and roll. She loved the Four Seasons and the Motown. And mom and dad, they loved the monster movies, so they wanted their budget to like the same things. And I did, and that was my two worlds. Aside to baseball, and then when I learned what girls are, before
Oh.
that, it was all monsters.
You took your hands off one bat and put it on another. I got it. Yeah.
Monsters and rock and roll were the two worlds, and they
Yeah.
still are. Now, if you asked me 10 years ago about the paranormal, I would have, just laughed it off, shrugged my shoulders, and I go, well, if you believe it, you believe it. I don't. And then when I started a paranormal investigating team called the Shaman and the Showman, and I was the showman, obviously, because I'm doing this stuff to entertain. I want it to be entertainment. And I'm playing the non-believer and the skeptic. I'm playing that role.
What you are or were.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Because I take pictures and I see stuff that I don't know how I'm going to show you a cover of a book that I wrote. The first book was True Ghost Stories of Connecticut, where I asked people and I got firsthand paranormal accounts. And I was in this old opera house, an abandoned opera house that people hadn't gone into for many, many years. And they gave us permission to go in there. We brought a group of 20 people to do an exploration and investigation. And the rule was we couldn't go up on the balcony because we would have probably fallen through. There was a
Well,
mezzanine that was,
well, that's not horror movie. That stuff. That's just it hasn't been fixed and fastened securely. Okay.
that's the lead up to this. And so there was this one door where the light was shining through. And it was interesting to me that there was this, darkness, darkness, dark, but one door that light was able to come through. I took a bunch of pictures of that. And when I got back into the house and after the night, I went through the phone and I was, delete, delete, delete. And then one I got to and it was like, oh my God. And that was a picture of this shadow figure
Oh,
in a doorway, no
you
reason,
sure that's not a squirrel?
it's
No.
not a squirrel. It's a head with a body. And as things have progressed, and as I continue to go out with my shamans and all these mediums and intuitives and psychics and all the above, they're communicating with the other side. The other side is calling them by name. It's not parlor tricks, it's actuality. And just I can't just slough it off anymore, and I can't deny it. And it's too real. And when someone sits down with a palm reader, and you get a kick out of this. I used to DJ after proms. Do you know what that is? So they don't get drunk. They stay in the same building, and then there's 2-3 hours of more entertainment. And I would bring a henna tattoo artist, and this one and that one, and inflatables, and I would bring palm readers, and I'd say to my palm reader, this would be really easy for you. You take their hand, they're graduating high school kids, and you say, "Oh my God, what's with you and telephones and cell phones?" And then they'll go on for there. It's a bit easy. I go, oh, you look at their hand and go, oh, wait, I see travel in your future. Well, yeah, they're a high school. They're going to be going to
Yeah.
my, they're going to be going to Orlando. So that'll open it up. Or if none of those work, just say, are you in a relationship? You just got out of a relationship? Something with a relationship. Well,
And
we all have
98% of the time is yeah.
that.
And we said we're in a relationship. Yeah, right. Got it.
But then I see people sit down with someone who's an established medium. And this
Or
is
an extra large. Yeah.
at one of my conventions where this guest who's walked in has never met this reader, this psychic, and the psychic reader has never done any bio. They've never done research on this person. They sit down. I'm sitting to hear what they're going to say, and they go, Grandma Helen loves you, and don't worry about what happened to her china. And I see the person start crying, and I see them just melt in their chair, and they get up, and that was good enough. Or for 15 minutes, they're saying why, better than a therapist could, why the relationship you're in is so toxic. And if you're not going to get out of it, there's only a few ways to, and they're talking as if they've known this person their
Yeah.
whole life, like instantaneous. How? I study magic, I study hypnotism. I know I could do a hypnotism show tomorrow if I had to, and I know how to eliminate the people who aren't playing along and leave up the ones that are going to be, nice spoils. But this is completely unexplainable. And in my book, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut, which has just been followed by, came out 2 weeks ago, True Ghost Stories of Connecticut and New England.
Oh, well, there you go. Expansion, yeah.
The stories are just unbelievable. And I know the people who contributed to it, and I contributed my own stories, which are unbelievable. And, there's got to be a lot more to it than just coincidence.
If people want to get these books as well as all the horror list books, what's the web? What's your place to get them? LiverpoolProductions.com or where?
Go to Amazon where you don't pay postage, and go look up the last name. You don't have to put in the exclamation marks, but Rosenay, Rosenay, and all my books will come out on there. You'll see 5, 6, whatever, how many pop culture books I have. That's the best way, right on Amazon.
Right on Amazon for Charles Rosenay, who's been joining us in the neighborhood. Let me remind you one more time that you have to go to North Haven, Connecticut, and you have to go on the weekend of the 4th and the 5th and the 6th for the M60 Monkees Convention, ladies and gentlemen, vendors and music, and Charles, of course. Also, you're going to want to go to that website if you want to book Charles for your bar mitzvah, your seder, as we keep saying, or cremation. Do you do cremations?
I haven't, but you know what? If the right reason comes, I gladly do a cremation. LiverpoolProductions.com is the DJ. I've given so many websites. I'm sorry, but that's the way to find me to entertain at whatever event you have. I'm going to pass on the cremation, but I'll do a divorce.
Well, don't make an ass of yourself. Yeah. Yeah. So last question for Charles. You are getting very monkey. So please tell us what, if you have them, your 2 or 3 all-time favorite Monkees songs.
Is a monkey a hilaria anyway? How do we translate? How do we translate monkey?
I only know Malaysian, so I couldn't begin to tell you in the Yeah.
My favorite, this is going to be weird. So I always wanted to pick the song that no one knows. And there's a song called Teardrop City when they were only 3 monkeys and then the TV show was on and they were, falling into the wayside and going out of people's consciousness for a decade or so. So there's a song called Teardrop City, which I absolutely love. But I will tell you that on the night that I was going to propose to my wife, Davy Jones did it for me from the stage, and he played a song called I Will Love You Forever. And it was one of my 2 wedding songs. It was that and also the Beatles, Here, There, and Everywhere. And I Will Love You Forever has to be. It has to be.
It has to be. Of course it has to be. We here in the neighborhood will love Charles Rosenay forever and wish that you keep going forever with more books, more conventions, more events, more paranormal experiences, more joy and fun in your life, and the joy and fun that you bring to a lot of other people's lives.
Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Charles, for being with us. 5 exclamation points. I'm upgrading you. 5. And shalom to you.
Shalom. 25 and me. Bye.